Good evening. This is Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. I got my partner in crime, Mr. Career Crossover in the house. What it do,
And my
baby? What it do?
man, I'm good. I can't complain. And I got my man 50 grand all the way from Brooklyn by way of Tampa, Brooklyn,
Ben's in the
and
house, no doubt.
Joel Sylvain. Yes, sir.
So, man, what's going on in the world of sports? A lot going on, man, in the news. Jeter,
Wow.
talk about it. Talk about it.
Well, I think if you haven't heard by now, the MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred announces that some of the regular season games, unfortunately, will be canceled after the league and the Players Association could not reach a deal.
Mm.
So, what that means is there'll be less baseball, and there could be even more less baseball if they don't reach a agreement. So there's a lot of stuff talking. There's a lot of people not happy. Um, Baseball should be happening. It certainly is the type of opportunity that people wait for all year long. This is the spring. You know, the pitches and catches. They get out early. Everybody's waiting for their time to get that ball here in Florida. I mean, we see the Grapefruit League, all that stuff, man. It's a good time, but now it's something serious. So we're hoping to see baseball get their agreement together that they can amicably agree upon. But there's still a lot to find and figure out. So stay tuned. That is part of what's going on in sports. What have you heard, man? Because this is a big deal.
Man, I mean, you know what? I think what I find interesting about the whole baseball situation, didn't they just have something like this that happened a couple of years ago? Like, they just can't get it together, man. I mean, I know these guys are making a lot of money, right? But man,
Well,
what's up with the Players Association that they can't have a longer term deal? I mean, you know, the NBA, you know, of course, I'm a big basketball person, right? And you see my Ebbets Field in the background, but
I see.
man, I mean, with like, what is it about Major League Baseball that they just constantly just have these issues?
Well, I mean, it's a host. It's no one thing. I think you know, baseball, like a lot of sports, is starting to contract. I mean, there are just nuances that within the game and within the agreement that have to be fixed and worked out. So there's stuff on the field, how deals are done, how much of a deal is on the right side or the left side, and there's just a large stake here because you're not just talking about looking out for the money here. We're talking other sponsors. We're talking about globalization. There are opportunities for the game to grow. Where it is right now is that the fact that they can't reach agreement. Tony Clark, who's over the PA, certainly has his hands full, and him and his team. But it's not unusual for leagues to not agree. I, as a former NBA executive, I went through two lockouts, and there was a blackout for a period of time where we weren't playing for months, at least 4 to 5 months. It was a very dark time, a lot of questions. So, what I would say to on either side is, my experience has been that there are very high level things that certainly need to be worked out, and there are things here at the bottom and in between. Now, what gets decided upon is just really them taking their time and saying, this is our number one priority, and this one is our number one priority, and trying to get both of them to come up and meet each other so they can quickly resolve. Now, whether or not that can happen in baseball's case is going to be remain to be seen. So outside of that, man, let's switch gears. Entertainment as well as global news, we certainly want to jump into that. Let's not forget what's going on other parts of the world. And then we're going to get into our guests. So we're looking forward to that. Go ahead, Joel.
Yeah, I think I want to just jump into the global news, right? Because,
Yeah.
In talking to, friends of mine up in New York, people are definitely scared, right? Because when you're in New York City or LA or in the Midwest, that that's the targeted areas where if they were to send a nuke, it's going to go. So people are very concerned, right? Rightfully so. Um, this whole Putin situation is, it's like a big bully, right? Just coming in, I want Ukraine back. so, so this is definitely very serious situation. All we can do is pray for the Ukrainians. Also, we have to pray for our brothers and sisters that have been denied transportation to flee the country. And I know there's been news and saying, the Ukrainians are racist. The reality is, and follow a friend of mine, Jacob York. Jacob York used to manage Biggie, was Biggie's partner. As a matter of fact, he was also on one of Biggie's songs. But I think one of the things we got to take into consideration is when something like this happens, it's important that you run to your embassy, right? And the State Department of that organization, not organization, but the country that you are from, should have given you some heads up on this situation in the first place to say, we will advise you not to necessarily travel at this time, or it's time for you we recommend that you leave early because we have news. Because the reality of the situation is, with communications the way that it is, before the news channels know what's going on, the governments know what's going on at least a day or two beforehand, right? Mm-hmm. So, with that being said, when you're traveling overseas, you really have to pay attention, whether you're in school or whatever the case may be, to what's the temperament and stay close to your embassy to find out what precautions you might need to take. And like I said, follow my boy Jacob York. He did a great job of even giving some insights on when you're traveling, what to carry and what to look at. In the world of music, I just hung out with Freedom from CNC Music Factory and my boy Diamond, the DTA Experience, Diamond the Artist, and Unicia. They performed at the Championship Martial Arts in Orlando this past Sunday, along with Rob Bass. It Takes Two. So that was fun, hanging out with them and just reminiscing on the music stuff. In other words, in other news and music, right now I'm catching a blank, but people are looking to put a lot of albums out there. I love what's going on in alternative R&B. The way the music is just really flowing from that perspective, and people are putting. Charlie Wilson just put out a single with Johnny Gill, and the New Edition concert. Woo! Everybody's talking about that, man. They love him. And Jodeci is back. Jodeci did their thing in Madison Square Garden and all the other tour dates, and of course Uncle Charlie is definitely representative. So they will be here in Tampa on April 7th. So if you don't have your tickets, get your tickets now, because
Who is they?
New Edition,
okay,
the Culture Tour, New Edition, Uncle Charlie, and Jodeci. Yes. So
very, very cool.
This is a show that you just don't want to miss.
Well, also the fact that people are trying to get back to some level of normalcy, where concerts were quite frequent. So this is one of the bigger ones, and it's one for the ages. My kids are like, hey, who's New Edition? Oh, now we know. So there are some things that, sort of what's old is new again. And we're wishing all of them success. Certainly, it's been a long time for artists who have been around to get out. So I think the first couple concerts are going to be real successful, period. We just hope that people control themselves, the environments are safe. There's no, challenges of putting on a good show and leaving there, alive and well and healthy. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
that's real important, real important. But man, let's go ahead and get on into this. I know we might have some introductions to do, and then we're gonna jump back and then get all the way into this evening's and with our special guest. So go ahead.
Yeah. So let's talk. Let's welcome our special guest, formerly known as Queen Goddess, but now she is known. Well, we'll go into that. But most importantly, our guest is an author, spoken word artist, natural hair care consultant, thespian from Harlem, USA. She's been a hair care stylist for many years. Her clients have shared her stories and life experiences with each other. She has released one of her books, which the book is awesome. In honor of Women's History Month, I would definitely invite you guys to make sure you buy this book because it definitely explores the power of a woman. And the name of her book is The Dark Sides of a Woman. She's also currently living in Eufaula, Alabama, an Indian territory, building her Hakatokni Yamasee Creek tribal house, where she is the chieftainess, and she also spends time in Miami with her lovely daughter, Takima Giassi, named after her beloved father, Takima Giassi, and her daughter lives in Miami, Florida. She's also an herbalist, and most recently, her daughter's father just recently passed away, and she's also one that's really highly in tune with spirituality. So, with our 9 medallions, I would say today I would definitely want to talk about spirituality and spiritual power, as well as just ingenuity, because this lady, as a single mom raising 2 kids, she has done her thing. So let's welcome to the show Chieftainess Iskatani Hadapushik Nidakomi, which means little butterfly under the moonlight. Welcome to the show. Oh, wait.
You're on mute.
Let's unmute her. There we go.
Okay. Halito, Hoshio, greetings to this wonderful show and platform. I am Chieftainess Iskatani Hadapushkik Nitak Omi of the Hachnotokni Yamasee Creek tribe, or Yamasee, because some people say Yamasee or Yamasee or Jamasee, but it all means the same. And I'm here to enlighten, the women and men for, like you said, Women's History Month, because the women give birth to the men.
That's right. Hey, Kevin and I would not be here if it wasn't for our moms.
That's right. Shout out
and
to
dads, but yes, mom always comes first.
We have to carry you for 8, because I carried my son for 8 months. He came in the 8th month, 8 to 9 months, and some people's even shorter. Some children come in at 5 months, whatever. But however, I just want to let you know all names are relevant. Like my family, you have an evolution of names. So Queen Goddess, people still call me Queen Goddess. They still call me Goddess Queen Princess Lanisha York. That's from Harlem Mart 125. Shout out to Harlem Mart 125 Creative Visions, where I had a business there for 17 years.
Wow.
Right across from the world famous Apollo Theater.
Famous Apollo Theater. Well, hold on, before we touch on that, because we got to pay commercials over here, and I know my producer be on me. So we're gonna come back after the break so we can get you in, and and once again, this is Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. See you after the break.
Be right back.
All right, we back. This is Power Moves. We're here with the Queen Goddess, the Chieftainess, the boss, in light of Women's History Month. But we bringing in the Chieftainess. How are you doing, girl?
I am wonderful. I am blessed and highly favored. I am excellent. Shout out to my brother. Today is his solar return born day. My mother gave birth to him today. Speaking of women, so I just want to acknowledge my baby brother on this divine day.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Speaking of which, it's funny because you talked about children that were born premature. I was born 7 months, and I was already like 6 pounds and change.
You see that?
So I was going to be a butterball when I was coming. If I came the 9th month,
right?
It would have been a problem.
Y'all kind of sneaking on us. Y'all get a jump start. Like my son, you born in 7 months. He was born in the 8th month. So y'all get a jump start because y'all came earlier than the whole 9 months. So y'all be a little more advanced because y'all got out before y'all was still in that incubation term of coming out at 9 months. So shout out to you and my son.
That's right. That's right.
Well, Chieftainess, and how make sure we pronounce that right. Give it to us. We want to say that.
You can just call me Chief Iskatani.
Okay. Chief Iskatani. Yeah. I got it. Love the originality.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. And for Women's Month, as an author, creative entrepreneur, mother, and leader, how did you get the bag when you got started? How did you get to the point where you could grow money in what you did as a mother, author, and entrepreneur?
Well, it all starts with our ancestors. I'm just a recycled ancestor. So I get it. It's in my DNA. It's in my genes. So I'm just recycling what my ancestors did. it was a journey. I, have to give a lot of respect to the Rastafari culture and community, because at 24 and 28 days from today, I'll be 60 years young on the 29th of this divine month.
You look like you 35.
No doubt.
Well, it's the
Wow.
lifestyle. Give
Yes.
thanks. I tell people it's the lifestyle. It's the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And at 24, I got into the whole Rasta culture. And what's really great about Rastafari is the eating, liberty, the thinking, the whole nine. And from there, I, got a shop in Harlem Mart 125, and I opened up a culture Rasta shop. And from there, that shop basically took me around the world, actually getting cultural things for our shop. And it's so funny because at that time I was into Rastafari, but I was going to Guatemala. And Guatemala is where the Mayan Indians are. And at that time, I still wasn't connected yet, because my mom and my dad and my great-grandmother and my grandparents kept always telling me, because I got into the whole Rasta and the Selassie, back to Africa, Marcus Garvey, the whole nine. And I went to Africa like 3 times, and my parents was like, "You're not African. We are Indian. We are Cherokee, Blackfoot, Mohegan, Mohawk, and Yamasee." And they kept, telling me over and over. So it was actually a journey and a cycle from going through all that, because I ended up moving to Reno, Nevada. Then I moved to Seattle, Washington. Then I came back, moved back to New York. After New York, my son's father needed somebody to help him with his shop in Miami. I moved to Miami, left Miami, went to LA. And when I came to Miami, when he talked me into coming to Miami, he said, "Oh, it'd be a great place to write your book." He was like, "It's a whole different lifestyle in Miami. It's not that hustle and bustle of New York." And so that's how I ended up writing my book, because he was like, "Oh, it was a great place to write your book." And so I ended up writing The Dark Sides of a Woman, a collection of short stories about women and relationships. And that's how the book journey started.
So, what has been the economic impact of being Indigenous, or,
well,
claiming your identity?
Well, it's very essential with everything going on now, because everything on the news you see is not real. It's a lot of fake news. Everything is really fake right now. It's a movie. And just get out your popcorn, because this is the month. There's going to be a lot of revelations. And being Indigenous, it's important to know who you are, because we have been regentified. We went from, as like, the place that I have here, I always have wherever I am set up as sort of like a museum. And, we have gone from almost like 17 name changes to who we are originally, Indigenous. We went from Indigenous to darkies, we went from savages, darkies, niggers. Then we went from that to coloreds, coons, spooks, boys, 1950. My mom was born in 1940s, boys, 1950, colored, 1960, my era, Negro. 1970, my brother's born 1970, that was brothers. 1980 is when the blacks came in, we were reclassified as blacks. And then 1990, thanks to Jesse Jackson, he coined the phrase African American. So it's really important that you really know your identity. It's very, very important, because once you know who you are, then you can move in that fashion, because your ancestors are waiting for you to acknowledge who you truly and really are. And everybody in the world knows who we are over here. Like everybody, I've traveled all over the world. Like when I was in Guatemala, the Mayans knew that I was Indigenous to America. Indonesia, they know, because when you travel the world, they're brown skinned, because we're not black. We're brown skinned with brown eyes and maybe black hair, but we're not black. And black has no standing in law. And Obama told us that when he became president, when Tom Joyner says, well, how does it feel to be the first Black president? He says, I'm not Black. I don't subscribe to the word Black because Black has no standing in law. And if you go in the courtroom, Black means you're dead. Civil lita mortis. You're dead. You have no rights. It's color of law. So you want to be really particular what you call your status and who you are, because a lot of times, a lot of our brothers and sisters are beaten down by that color code status, because if you're dead in law, you have no rights. So being indigenous, that journey that my great-grandmother, you know, continuously, my grandfather, he came off the reservation. The reservation is nothing but a plantation in Virginia. And they left Virginia, my grandfather on my dad's side, his sister's brother, my great-grandmother, Salika, they all left and they came to New York because of the fact that it was like a plantation. And they all kept telling us to really stick to our roots and our culture and know who we are. Because if we don't know who we are, it's going to affect us in the future.
Wow, very, very succinct and well said. You know, there's so many things I want to add into that. We just don't have the time to really
right.
push that. But I'm so I really love the way you walk through the naming and how we were classified and named and that whole thing. You know, I still think there's a challenge with the romanticism, and I'll just say the N word. You know, where do you think we are with that? Is that still a challenge for us? Because I saw how you moved through it and you moved to the classification. How important is it for us to either, you know, lock in and move away from that? Or are people still going to be using that, particularly people of color? Because there's always a double standard around that. Meaning it's okay to some degree of people of color and then other people can't. You know, where are we with that? Because I really think you have kind of looked at it in a way. And I'd love to hear what your thoughts are in a short way.
Yeah, first of all, the word doesn't apply to us. We're not the niggers. It's not us. It's a spell casting, brainwash mentality. The Caucasian, aka paleface, they are the original niggers. The word negro came from Latin, meaning our skin complexion. We are not the niggers. We have to give them back their words. First of all, everything that we have been taught is a lie, and it's a bunch of brainwashing, and the biggest brainwash is from television. Like most of the history of everything we get is from television, and television can keep you in the dark, because most people that are indigenous, because we're indigenous everywhere in the world, the whole four corners of the earth, Asia, Europe, Central, South America, and the continent is all indigenous, aboriginal, autochthon, brown skin, brown eyes, black hair, black eyebrows, black eyelashes, people. You know, and so that word is not our word. It's trickery. It has nothing to do with us, but they use these words to spell cast. They're casting spells. That word has nothing. Like our people have taken the word and making it a term of endearment. And now we don't only use it, the whole world uses it. Everybody is vibrating on the word nigger. And like I said, here at my space, I have I can just show you real quickly how it went from the 1600s savages, 1800 niggers, 1900 darkies, 1910 pygmies, 1920 coons, 1930 spooks, 1940 boys, 1950 colored, 1960 my era Negroes, 1970 brothers, 1980 blacks, 1990 African American. The 2000 is what? 2000 now is autochthon, aboriginal, original. Okay, these words are spell casting words. The word nigger never applied to us. Because when you look up the word nigger, it means a low life, a low class person. Correct? So who is doing the low life, low class things to people worldwide? The Caucasian pale face. So
boom. On that note, we dropped the bomb on that because we got to pay some bills.
Go pay your bills. All right.
So once again, this is Power Moves, where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. We be back in 2 minutes. Woo-wee. Dropping some bombs over here.
Yes.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Let's go.
All right, we back with Chief. It's Katani. It's Katani dropping bombs over here.
Dropping jewels.
Dropping bombs. It's not a game. It's not a game. Man, so we were just talking about the economic impact of being indigenous and how, we can't get caught up in the names that other people call us. We need to know who we are and whose we are for us to dictate our destiny. Our destiny.
Well said.
So Kev, man, what you got to say, man?
So, one of the things, my wife is an organic farmer, and can you explain how important that is in becoming a farmer now, and how is that a money move?
Well, it's an indigenous, autochthon, aboriginal, original move. Like our ancestors, that's all they did. That's all we taught them. If you listen to Martin Luther King's speech, when he says, so we're going to get our check, when we go to Washington, we're going to get our check. He talked about how they were bringing all the peasants over from Europe here to teach them farming. Who was teaching them farming? We were. We were teaching them to farm. They didn't know anything about farming. We were teaching them to farm because that's the way of life of indigenous people worldwide. This in the 1920s, around the 1900s, we had 20 million acres of land. Now we hardly have any because the new generation, and shout out to Waka Flocka Flan. He has been the pioneer of telling people we're not Black, that he's indigenous. He's been the pioneer in the hip hop community, letting people know it's important to farm. He's always posting up that he's starting his farming, and he's a major influence. Now, shout out to Kevin Gates too, because he's doing the same thing. He's buying up lots of land. They're farming because they're getting it. We're in the age of truth. For 2,156 years. We're in the age of truth, enlightenment, and knowing. So it's an awakening right now. People don't even know why they're doing it because our ancestors are connected to us, and it's something that's in our DNA that we have to do. If you don't grow your own food, you're in trouble. Like I'm here in Eufaula, Alabama. My uncle grows yellow watermelon, red watermelon. He has cows, he has bulls, he has collard greens, he has kale, he has green, he has corn. And he just turned 75. He moved to Detroit, Michigan and came back 35, maybe almost 40 years. He came back to be a farmer. And a lot of the young people are not getting it, but because of these hip hop legend, these people that's doing it now, people are starting to get it. There's a lot of young people in Midway, Alabama, right near here. They're starting to farm because it's organic, it's essential, and you have a connection to Mother Earth where you evolve.
And I would say, and so well said, and I think what's important, there's a special outset called They're Trying to Kill Us. And
yes.
Have you seen that? And it specifically talks about what's in the food and why we particularly from a hip hop perspective, they've gotten really some of the biggest and the best names to really talk about why we need to embrace eating well and really changing our mindset that there was a shaming around farming because of sharecropping, and really we should not be ashamed at all that our ancestors knew how to use the land and live off the land. And now we're in a period where our food sources are being broken down in terms of supply chain, and you need to live and understand you may have to live off of the very land or pots or whatever you got around you. So don't sleep on the fact that when someone says organic, it actually means the cleanest you could possibly get, in terms of your food. But it's very important what you're saying. It's important for us to not in any way lessen the fact that our ancestors were farmers, have been farmers, and will continue to be. And that's a way of life we really need to get back to, because our land is telling us, and the planet is telling us it needs it.
Yes, that's interesting that you talk about that, Kevin, because, and which leads me to ask you a question too, Chief, is, you decided to buy this land in Alabama out of all places. But the one thing that I do know about you is that you're an herbalist. And so, and I'm leaning towards our power segment, right?
Right.
Because that's a major power move for you to go to Alabama, get all this land, have your uncle come back at 75 years old, because that's keeping him vibrant, right? But you as an herbalist, how is understanding herbs and being one with nature, with the land that you purchase, improve your power?
Well, I just want to make it clear that my uncle has been down here, been doing this. I just met him down here when I came down doing this already, because it was passed down to him. But what happened, I was working with another tribal, the Cherokee Kituwas in Georgetown, Georgetown, Georgia, which is right across the water, like 5 minutes. If I cross the bridge, I'm in Georgetown, Georgia, which I'm an hour behind you guys. But if I cross the bridge, I'm on you guys' time. And so I was helping another elder chief, principal chief, with their tribe, because I'm also Cherokee, and helping them. And so my aunt, who was here in Eufaula, I was in Miami, and she, we were all three of us was on the phone, and she said to this chief, she said, "Oh, you think my niece is coming down to Georgetown to help you?" She said, "But God is sending her to Eufaula to help me." And she told me, like, every day we talk, and she said, "I don't even know why I said that, but the spirit spoke to her, the ancestors." And while I was in Georgetown helping the other chief, I came over the bridge to see my auntie, and her brother fell. He was 83 at the time, and he fell, and she needed me to go with her to Midway to get him. And she's a retired nurse, and I'm a herbalist, and so, which is a medicine woman in the Indigenous culture. So we went to get him, came back, took him to the hospital. He was okay, and we took him to her house, and I started helping her. She always tells the story that I'm 100 pounds, but how strong and amazing I am. And her brother is like 6'3", 6'4", 185. And she had these wonderful nursing techniques how to put, because he couldn't walk or do anything. And he had all these diabetic sores all over his legs, like especially at the heel part. It was just horrible. And see, I always travel with my aloe. Aloe is like the miracle plant. And so I use aloe to do hair, to heal hair. I use aloe for many things, but what I do with the aloe, when it dries, I make it into a aloe powder. And so I always keep it in a glass jar. And so when I saw his legs, it just was, it was just awful. And so what I did was take the aloe, because I came down here with like 100 plants when I moved from Miami, because I had an amazing garden in Miami. I had coconuts, mangoes. I had just so much. It was just phenomenal. So I bought like 100 plants here with me, and I bought like a bunch of my aloe, because you don't leave home without it. And so I had the aloe, and I put the aloe slime on him, and then I put the powder, and it actually healed. Like his legs were so
Wow.
ugly, and it healed him. Like it totally, like you can never tell that he had those diabetic sores. And
Wow.
it's the food that you eat that cause you diabetes. So I'm essential here, like educating, because in your follow, most of the people obese, they are, hooked on fast foods, which is killer food, is processed food. And so I've been helping a lot of overweight people by teaching them you can grow in pots. Because this was the first year that I literally grew most of my foods, my kale, my collard green, my peppermint, my lemongrass, my cilantro, my oregano, my hibiscus, so
The
many things.
arugula. Keep going.
What you said?
He said arugula.
Keep going.
Yes, arugula, the purple cabbage. And so my auntie, because I go back and forth from, your father to Miami with my daughter, because she just had my first grandson who was indigenous. And so she said, you know what? Plant them in pots instead of the ground, because I wasn't going to be literally here often, going back and forth. And when I came back, I had so much food. It was amazing because I had them on my front porch. I had them back on. It was just to come back and see that, because, her father passed on November 18th. And I immediately to Miami, because he was in Tampa where you guys are. And when I came back in January, I just was amazed, because I really didn't. I'm usually a ground person. I love to put in the ground. But she gave me that advice because her grandmother, her father, they were all farmers. So it's just amazing to be around, because she's 81. And if you see her, she don't look 81. You see my uncle, he's 75. He don't, because when you eat straight from the pot and the land and grow your own food, you see, no bumps in this face, no acne, no nothing.
None.
That's right. So
because you're eating from the source. That's your power. That's your money right there.
They talk about food being your medicine.
Yes.
You talked about that, but also it's medicine internally. It feeds your skin, it feeds your hair, it feeds your nails, it feeds your cells, it feeds your organs. So
do you think you could help me grow my hair back?
Well, it just depends, because I have a hair scope, and what I do is I look on it, because my auntie, she had a big bald spot in her hair, but it's the diet that what happens, how you get baldness, is the diet. And the main thing is table salt. Table salt eats our hair out. So you have to get more Himalayan salt, the black salt, organic, because that's why most of the women are going bald, and the men, is because of the diet. The diet is essential to everything. Once you change that salt and get a better organic, rich salt that has a source of vitamins and minerals, you might be having hair as long as me.
Give me a miracle.
Yes.
I do have the Himalayan.
Stop hair loss product. Stop hair loss now. But it's not going to work if your diet is inorganic. If you still eating junk, it's not going to work.
I remember, and we'll break after this, my wife says to me, she's like, I said, this is like 21 years ago. She said, we're going to start eating organic. And I said, do you realize how much it costs? And this is a statement I want people to understand. She said to me, looked me dead in the face. She said, you either going to pay now or pay later.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
She said, later is a week in the hospital that costs 60 grand. Or later could be weeks and weeks and months. And then you pass away. So what do you want? Pay now? I said, okay.
And I want to say, today is Harry Belafonte's Earth Day, solar return birthday. He's 95 years young.
Yes.
It's the diet. The diet is the lifestyle. And he eating, straight from the garden, man. The garden.
That's right.
You're done already, man.
Madonna.
Yes.
And we got pick some commercials
Go
again.
Go pay more fire.
Ding, ding, ding. All right, we on break.
Gunshot salute. Yo, producer,
Yes.
give me some gunshot. Once again,
Boom,
this is
boom,
Power
boom, boom,
Moves,
bop, 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 bop.
where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. We see you after the break.
We'll be back.
Yes.
All right, we back. This is Power Moves with celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. We are here with Chief Iskatani talking about the power moves of owning your own land, cultivating your own food so that you are the source, because that's the way our ancestors taught us. And she's the woman, so speaking of power and being that this is Women's Month,
Right.
I definitely want to give you, a lot of props in that as a single mom, the fact that you have taken care of your kids and you made that choice to make that your lifestyle, where a lot of women, especially, if you're an executive working in corporate, you're torn by the paycheck in comparison and taking care of your kids and having other people take care of your kids, as opposed to creating a lifestyle that provides a work-life balance. What advice would you give to women, especially single moms, on breaking away a little bit from that chain and having that confidence to do that, or tapping into that spirituality?
That's a wonderful, great question. I love that question because, back in the days, I was sort of looked down on, because thank goodness and shout out to the Mart 125, Harlem Mart 125. It was a group of us that lived that culture and lifestyle as entrepreneurs, working for ourselves and taking care of our families. So we had like a network in Harlem, mothers and fathers that are single parents working together. And recently with COVID, because I work from home, I homeschool my daughter, homeschool my son for a bit, and then send them into school for afterwards they have to go in for certain things. But people used to say, oh, she homeschools her children, she doesn't have a television. I said, you act like I don't have a refrigerator and a stove. They go everywhere. You go to your house, there's a TV everywhere. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to now, because of COVID, people used to say, oh, she worked from home. I could never work from home. She went to school online. I could never go to school online. Well, 2020 shut everybody down from saying that. They were forced to work from home. They were forced to go to school online. They were forced to. And because of that force, people said to me, my clients said to me, oh my gosh, Queen Goddess, you was ahead of the game. You was homeschooling your daughter, you were working from home, and people thought it, and now everybody has been forced to do it. And because of it, so many people did not want to go back to work because they got to spend quality time with their children and more family time. And a lot of people now are still, since everything has happened, they respect working from home, spending quality time with your children, and even homeschooling because of the jab and this and that. Many people, the mask, many people don't want their children going through that. So there's still a bunch of mothers now. They used to say, oh, they don't have any social skills. You have social skills when you go to a wedding, a party, a church. You don't learn social skills in school. You learn social skills being with your family. Sometimes children in school they're antisocial. They don't even socialize. So it's not in school. So because of the situation that we had in 2020 was basically when a lot of women became entrepreneurs and started working for themselves, because it was like a light came over to them, because a lot of people were forced to be at home. All before, prior to that, people didn't want to work from home. People find it really difficult to work for themselves. I tell many women, you are the job. You are the job. Nothing can do without you. If you work for Bloomberg, and you are the job, it's not going to work unless you're there. If you work anywhere, you are the job, and it's what you create, because you have a better chance of making $1 million, billion, or $1 trillion working for yourself. As long as you're working for somebody, you're on a fixed salary. Simple as that.
You dropped the mic.
That's the power move. Boom.
Yeah, that is certainly. And I think what we're trying to convey is, that same spirit that holds people back. You said, a lot of times we certainly can put it out there, but how did you fight, if you did at all? I don't know if this is true. How did you overcome any type of intrepidation or obstacles to be so strong in your walk and what you do today? Because for an outsider, they'd be like, okay, who is this lady? Why is she adorned in such a way? They wouldn't grasp that. But you have to be strong and convicted in what you do to be where you are today. What were some obstacles you had to overcome to be, the woman that you are?
Oh, thanks for that question as well. I'll always take it back to Mark 125. Harlem Mark 125. Once again, I, started business at 24 there, and I worked with a lot of elders. The elders, they always give you the tools, and they give you the strength, and they give you the wisdom and the courage. And most of these people now are gone, but a lot of them, we went through a whole struggle. I know y'all know about Rudy Giuliani, when the whole get the vendors off the street, they wanted to shut down the mart. It was very trying. A lot of people gave up, went back and got a job, but we didn't stop. And with the blessing of them even closing the mart, and they wanted us to open it back up, is that we didn't stop. Like, you don't stop. That's who we are as a people. We don't stop. At first you don't succeed, get up and do it again, and just don't give up. You have to really look at yourself as an innovator, a motivator, and as a person that's gonna take that buggy and boost it and drive. So you have to be driven, because every setback is really a blessing in disguise. You know, you're gonna grow, you're gonna prosper for every setback. Like I said, every obstacle I had, I left New York, I went to Reno, Nevada. I've had businesses everywhere. Like in LA, I was there, I had a business there, I had a culture shop doing hair, and those women were so inspired. And then I told them, I said, well, I'm not gonna rock here too long, because I'm not really feeling Holly weird and the fake Holly. I'm gonna go back to Miami, where sun, because I don't like California's weather. Cold in the day and the night, and like extremely hot in the middle of the day, and then it drops 30 degrees. I'm a sunshine person. Even here in Eufaula, the weather is nice. We had a really gorgeous day today. And so me doing that, going back to Miami, once again, you have to, when you have your own business, you can pick up and go. My children have lived in so many states, because when you work for yourself, when you have a craft, if you have a service, I tell women every day, and men, if you have a service, and once you provide a service, you can take it anywhere. I lived in Belize. I had a store on the main road. My daughter was 1 year young, and everybody came. I took everything that I had in my house and I shipped it to Belize. I sold Pampers. I had a dollar sale on Sundays for the people. I had movie night. I did everything, because look, we're from Harlem. I'm a hustler, baby. Give it to me. You know, we're born hustlers. So if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. And I've traveled around the world, and I watch Aboriginal, Autochthon, Indigenous people worldwide in the marketplace. And half the people around the world basically are self-employed. Mm-hmm. They're self-employed, not by choice, because that's the only way they have it in those countries. They're basically forced to be farmers and to sell stuff. Where here we have a choice to go into corporate America, or go into the farm, or, you know, start your own techno business, your own hair care business, or your media business, or your basketball team, or whatever that you desire to do, restaurants, you know. And it's a lot of the industry people are now starting to do the same. They're, after a while, because a lot of them have gone broke. And, you know, Kanye West, he may be controversial, but he's proven it. And I do agree with him. Slavery is a choice. It's the state of mind. Because if you stay in that slave mentality, you'll never get out of it. And Damon Dash also said the same thing. You know, he was on the Breakfast Club, and he told them, like, you only have a share in this company. Your son can't come here and do anything, because you have to go check with your boss. He was like, my son has his own cookie thing. He has this, he has that, he's selling this and that, because he works for himself. He's doing for self. He says, don't save money, invest in your business, invest in yourself, because while you saving up for 401k, you might not even make it to see the 401k, when you could have started a business long time ago and been a billionaire, maybe a trillionaire. But you have to step out on faith. Like Nike, just do it and don't look back, because once you do it, you're gonna excel. Because I've had many obstacles.
Oh man, we only got 1 minute left, and I want to definitely touch on your book, Kevin. I know you had a question in regards to that. You're gonna have to do it in 10 seconds or less.
Oh, okay. Man, I don't know if we could throw it down that quick.
Well, I can tell you that it's a collection of short stories about women in relationships. And as a natural hair care consultant, you hear many, many stories. And so most of those stories reflect a lot of our everyday, real-time life, what we go through. And every story has a moral to the story, an ending that is quite essential and can assist you in your everyday life, because you feel that I've written about you, but it's everything that we go through. So they can just
so you basically got the written version of The Beauty Shop.
But not, it's my experience traveling the world and meeting women all over, because a lot of times I wasn't in the beauty shop. I was traveling. Like the brother said, I had obstacles, picked up, left here, went to this country, went there. And so just seeing women in their power and how women excel no matter what. So I just had to do it.
All right, so we gotta definitely promote you. I know we're going a little bit of overtime. Bear with me, producer. Bear with me, Basil.
Please.
But check this. So please, you need Chief. How do people get in contact with you? Besides, remember, because I want you to make sure you promote all of your product line, because you a hustler, baby.
You know I am. Give it to me. So you can find me. I have a Happy to Be Nappy on Facebook, HAPPY, HAPPY 2BE Nappy. That's the hair care. And then I have The Dark Sides of a Woman by Queen Goddess, also on Facebook. And then I have a WordPress blog with all my stories. And then it says about, the book. So you have the link. I have an audio book. I have a spoken word book where my daughter went in the studio at 7, The Power of the Mic. And my son was 16. He filmed it. So everything you can basically find on my blog, because I keep it real and I keep it moving. So you can find everything. I have an Instagram, Happy Natural Hair. I stay on Facebook jail. I stay shadow banned. I stay locked down on Twitter for truth, for healing, but then they end up easing up because the truth will set you free.
Set you free.
You can always find me on Facebook. You can just Google Queen Goddess, VSA Queen Goddess. You can even Google Chief Iskatani. I come up. I'm in the mix. You can I tell people, Google me, baby. Google me.
All right. Well, thank you for a wonderful show. And thank you for honoring us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you, wonderful Indigenous, Autochthon, Aboriginal, because you're brown skin with brown eyes, and you have a little black hair at the top, but Kevin has a lot more. Okay, you have a wonderful eyelashes.
Yeah, my black hair is microscopic.
Yes, and you have beautiful eyebrows that are black. Okay, because I want to leave you with this to think about. When you take the B off of black, what do you have?
Black.
When you take the W off of white, what do you have?
Height.
When you take the B off of brown, what do you have?
Round.
Stick around. If you're black, get back. If you're white, you're all right. If you're brown, stick around.
Stick around.
So let's stick around being brown.
All right.
Once again, I love you.
Love you too.
Kokoki, Nanaya, and keep doing great things. Let's keep the power going. More power to you and all our listening audience. Much love and light. And gratitude.
Same to you.
Gratitude. Same to you. Thank you. Peace
Once
and
again,
blessings.
this is a great episode of Power Moves where celebrities, athletes, key influential executives share how they make money, how they attract power, and how they earn respect. We'll see you next week, baby.
Baby. Yeah. Peace.